Good evening, race fans, and welcome back. It's the season opener here at the Old Bastards Racing League Kimball Cup Series. We're at Daytona International Speedway. We've got a packed house, 46 entries. And the season opener sponsored by Admin Box, our good friends over there as well. The primary sponsor, Kimball.net. As always, I'm your host, James E. Spring, the Action 1080p, 60 frames a second. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, great to have everybody back here as we get ready to fire things off. Qualifying just about underway. And we've got a lot of fans joining us on the spectator side of YouTube. Greatly appreciate you guys. As without you, we wouldn't have nearly as much fun up here in the booth. Looks like Victor Lane, that number 10 machine, getting a whole lot of love from the fans here tonight. As we've got the OBRL admins tune in as well. I believe that's going to be Dwayne MacArthur, but we've got Jeremy Mayo, Iron Spider Racing, Michael Dow, Victor Lane Sports, Rick N. A lot of friends. It looks like Michael Dow's out in the mix. Pete Parabola is out there. He's cheering on Fish. Dustin Martinson agreeing that it is going to be a wild one as it looks like drivers are making their way out onto the grid. And let's get things started for the first time this season. About 40 weeks of racing on the calendar as we get ready to fire things off here at Daytona International Speedway. Drivers still making their way out onto the grid. And let's go ahead and run through the starting order. Starting on pole, Cameron Shosey, the number 13 machine. Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, he starts second. Greg McDaniel starting third. Brian Lynch starts fourth. Kevin Strandberg starting fifth. Chris Walsh starts sixth. Josh Robinson starting seventh. Wayne Hufford starting eighth. Victor Lane starting ninth. Tom Ogle will be starting 10th. Dale Copeland starts 11th. Darrell Winninger starting 12th. Cycling on back to Jonathan Green. He's starting 13th. Rick Nitz will be starting 14th here today. Robert Garisco starting 15th. We've got Lloyd Moore starting 16th. Joe Brown starting 17th. Chris Bates starting 18th. Michael Watt starts 19th. Joey Buscemi starting 20th. Eric Essery starting 21st. Sean Foltz starts 22nd. Brian Lindsay starting 23rd. Brian McRubbin starting 24th. Cycling it back one more time to Kenneth Schulz. He's starting 25th. Kermit Gentry Jr. starts 26th. Dan Hill starting 27th. John Hinchcliffe starts 28th. Dean Gear, the fried chicken man himself, he starts 29th. Troy Baker starting 30th. Eddie Cajun Jones starts 31st. William Martin starting 32nd. Ken Huff starts 33rd. Bruce Pearson starting 34th. John Hastings starting 35th. We've got Clay Walker starting 36th. Cycling it back for the final time to Mark Schrader. He's starting 37th. Jeff Lyden starts 38th. Chris Sidner starting 39th. Victor Ryan starting 40th. Greg Hammond starting 41st. Larry Corey starts 42nd. Robert Vincent starting 43rd. Alan Wanamaker starts 44th. Michael Lemoncheck starting 45th. And Mark Fish will be starting 46th here tonight. An absolute massive grid and a whole lot of fans in attendance here at Daytona. As we're going to get things rocking and rolling up front. I did check, compared to last season opener in 2022, 3 more entries this time around. So beating records already here at the Old Bastards Racing League Kimball Cup Series. Radiant Blues cheering on Victor Lane Sports as well. Martinson cheering on Lane. Hufford Bates. Jeremy Mayo got to agree, 46 drivers out on track. As a reminder to our fans, maybe tune in for the first time, maybe some veterans here in the spectator area. These drivers only have 7 incident points to make it around 100 laps at Daytona, meaning these guys have to be very, very careful how much they want to risk those machines. Now, it looks like we have one driver who did not take the grid. That's going to be Bruce Pearson, the number 22 Ford Mustang. Drivers will have one opening lap here. The race will start with Dwayne MacArthur and Cameron Shosey on the front row. We'll wait for that iRacing safety car to come down pit road. There it goes, and we get ready to start the party here at Daytona. And we are green flag racing. There's Barney, our flagman, throwing the green for these racers. It's MacArthur and Shosia on the front row. McDaniel Lynch making up the second row. And what an absolute massive field it is here today. Looks like Bruce Pearson is going to start from pit road, trying to get that machine sorted out and ready to rock. Things looking pretty stable up front. Looks like the inside line has the momentum with the number 13 machine of Shosi. But MacArthur with a little bit of help from, I believe that's going to be Brian Lynch as the high line. Get some momentum. Chris Walsh, he's going to be up 3 spots in that number 63 Toyota Camry up on the high line. He's got the 75 of Wayne Hufford right in tow. So far, things are good here. Now, historically, drivers are going to kind of take their time, get the momentum, get the rhythm built up before we see anything too out of control happening here. There's a little bit of movement, a little bit further back as we check in on Victor Lane, that number 10 machine. He is down 4 positions so far, currently holding on to the 13th place spot. The fans giving MacArthur a little bit of a hard time. The fast Canadian opting to qualify and put himself squarely in the mix. As look at that, Chris Walsh on the outside line, that 63. He's up 5 spots. And he will get a lap led here at the season opener. He's got Wayne Hufford's 75 machine tucked in right behind him. There's also the number 11. Of the White Claw back forward, that's Tom Ogle, who's very proud that he does his own paint. Only 3 laps in, but if this is a sign of things to come, it looks like the outside line definitely going to be the dominant place to be. You can see the number 15 of Daryl Winninger as well as the 35 of Rick Nitz making good ground. Lloyd Moore's 26 machine. He's also up 9 positions, tucked in behind that 35 of Nitz. MacArthur, though, has a little bit of a run on the inside line, trying to battle for the 5th place spot, and looks like we're getting some lane changes here as everybody's trying to find a dance partner in the draft, see who they want to link up with, who they can trust, and try and start getting some momentum. Now, got to give these guys credit. Practice, a little bit rough to watch. A lot of big crashes, drivers not quite able to hold on to it. As I say that, looks like Joe Brown has maybe disconnected here. So unfortunately, Brown may have lost connection to the service. There he is blinking. So he has connection issues, opts to go down pit road and try and play it safe as we focus in on Robert Garisco's 28 machine. Garisco, a wily vet here at the OBRL series. And all the series these guys run, but especially the Cup series, the Kim Bowl Cup series. I think that's one of the drivers that may be playing it a little bit safe here, seeing what's going to transpire and trying to avoid what I think is the inevitable big one. Now, we've seen these guys go start to finish green flag racing at super speedway before, but 46 cars, I'm going to kind of bet against that one here. The spectator area tonight, full of drivers who were not able to make it into this main event. 46 drivers making their way out. At least I would wager 10 to 15 who tried to get in the session, but it filled up just too quickly. Lee Warsdale, one of those drivers, as well as Michael Dow. Jason Fallenbaum join us in the spectator area as well, cheering on his favorite drivers. Chris Walsh in the 63 machine ripping the high line. Ogle behind him. Looks like our hard charger is going to be Brian. No, it's going to be Lloyd Moore. Well, there's a bunch of drivers that are all up 11 spots. So actually now it's going to be Rick Nitz running second in the 35. He's on the inside line alongside Walsh in the 63, who's up high. Nitz briefly taking over the race lead. He was up 13 spots, but the high line just has a little bit more momentum. And you can see how aggressively Ogle in that number 11 machine pushing Chris Walsh in the 63. Very Express. 6 laps in, haven't had any big issues yet. Drivers coming down pit road, if they had connection issues on their own accord, I can guarantee you if this was a public iRacing lobby, that would not be the story here tonight. There goes Rick Nitz back up the inside line. Another driver I want to focus in on, Robert Vincent, the 101, a triple-digit driver, a newcomer, a rookie to the Kimball Cup Series. He's holding on to the 38th place position now since he is a triple-digit driver, unable to qualify, and he's behind Victor Ryan, Greg Hammond, Chris Sidner. There's also Alan Wanamaker, Larry Corey, Mark Schrader, Mark Fish, Michael Lemoncheck, all in a nice, tight row here. Kind of playing it safe, running single file, saying, you know what, there's a big movement up ahead. Let's kind of play it safe and see how this is going to develop, because they're doing good just staying out there. Already Bruce Pearson, he had some sort of issues. He started on pit road. John Hastings looks like he's back in the virtual hauler early on. Joe Brown, he's about 2 laps down. So just out of the attrition, drivers can keep moving and up and holding that forward momentum. If we watch Walsh, Ogle, and I believe that's going to be Lloyd Moore, yes, in the 26 machine, working the high line together. Now, a question for our audience here tonight. What are we thinking the amount of cautions will be? You know, in fact, I'm going to get a poll going up for our viewers at home. Go ahead and put the poll up for our viewers here tonight. Let us know, do you think we're going to go green all the way here at Daytona with 46 drivers, or are you thinking we're going to see at least a couple by the time it's all said and done? As we say that, looks like the draft line gets a little bit out of sorts. I wonder if the drivers may have heard us there and wanted to bump up the aggressiveness. Dustin Martinson, he's been on 2 cautions late in the race. As Chris Walsh continues leading the charge up front. We pull up the live timing board to the left side of your screen so you can see where your favorite driver is. And boy, is there a lot of favorites out on track. Jeremy Mayo, he's thinking there's going to be cautions under yellow. Fellenbaum saying it's going to be late in the runs. We might see some. Lee Warsdale pointing out the unique paint scheme by Tom Ogle, who currently runs second at number 11 White Claw backed Ford Mustang. As this run continues to develop, drivers are going to fight car control a little bit more. Right now, Chris Walsh, one of 2 Canadians out on track, holds on to the race lead. He's got Ogle still pushing him here. As we're on board with Rick Nitz, that 35 machine, up 11 spots so far with Ran Faster Racing. He's got to be pumped with how things are going, up 11 spots early in the evening. He claims that he is the world's fastest goalie in a virtual race car. And his pastimes outside of racing the OBRL include barbecuing. Lloyd Moore, our current hard charger, up 12 positions so far. We just saw somebody drop way down the standing. Something's going on. Drivers slicing all the way through here. And that is, I would say, the scary part of Speedway Racing. One little mistake and you've got an absolute hornet's nest behind you. Right now, the most thing, about 38% of our viewers saying no cautions. We're going to go green all the way. 62% of our viewers saying we're expecting at least a couple of cautions by the time it's all said and done here. As we've got 3 wide action going up towards the front. I think that's lap traffic. That was Joe Brown up on the high side, a very precarious spot for him to be in. Way up there trying to make that car small to avoid any sort of calamity. As we thankfully get through that one. That is not a spot that Brown wants to be in that number 21 machine. But now he is in lucky dog contention, so just needs to hold on to it. Play it safe, and it looks like a couple different lines developing. If we pan back, that's Eddie Cajun Jones, the number 14 Toyota. He's sitting 22nd out on track. He's got about a 6/10 advantage over 23rd place driver Brian Lindsay. While Lindsay leads the back half of the standings, the leaderboard. I think those are the guys that are giving themselves plenty of room, plenty of berth. If things start to go bad, they can call it out, maybe check up together. Up front, it's still Chris Walsh holding on to it. Ogle also up on the high side. There's Lloyd Moore, the inside line. He's running second up 14 positions. Moore definitely getting faster and faster every time we've called a race with him in it. And look at that big push from Rick Nitz in the 35. A big shove to the 26 machine of Moore. 15 positions gained so far. Let's see if he can get credit for a lap led here as they're making their way to the tri-oval. Oh, I think it's going to be Walsh again. It's going to be tight. Yes, it's going to be Walsh and Ogle scored first and second across the line. Lloyd Moore will hold on to third. Ogle still holding on to that second place spot. He is a self-proclaimed, just not good at fuel mileage is what he wrote for his driver's bio. Terrible fuel mileage. And he is teammates with Josh Robinson, Andrew Hess, and Joe Brown on Team Miata. He does all of his own paints. He realizes they're gaudy. But a great driver, that number 11 machine from Wooster, Ohio, with his mini stock background on both dirt and pavement. Big goal for Tom Ogle in 2023 to crash into Eddie Jones more often. Jones again, he's back in about 20th as it sits. John Foltz making good headway. That number 95 machine, he is up 17 positions. Foltz tucked in behind Ogle. You can see the 09 machine of Brian McRubbin also up on that high side. 17 laps in. Now we're not quite sure what the fuel mileage is going to be here, what the expected fuel runs. Maybe some of the drivers that are watching from behind the wall can give us a bit of a clue here in the spectator area. I'm going to wager about 30 laps, and I figured out the quickest way to get the correct information is tell the audience the wrong information, and then somebody will immediately correct the broadcaster. So let's see if that trick works with my predictions of about a 30-lap fuel run. As it stands, still 43 drivers on the lead lap. As we begin lap 19 here at Daytona International Speedway, the season opener of the Kimball Cup Series. Looks like Sean Foltz, Brian McRubbin, our two hard chargers, And let's add Chris Bates to that list. All those drivers up 16 positions so far. I'm excited for a green flag pit stop. We're going to have 43 drivers coming down pit road at roughly the same time, give or take 1 or 2 laps. And judging from what we saw in practice, a not quite easy feat to manage as Lloyd Moore in the 26 briefly got on the apron. That same move in the real Daytona 500 qualifying cost driver Travis Pastrana a few tenths of a second. And as we just saw, it can kind of upset that balance of the line. Drivers having to check up and then build all that momentum back forward in the right direction. And in case you're wondering at home, that is 31 drivers in one solid pack charging around the high banks. You can see Joe Brown in that number 21. He's our lucky dog, just kind of hanging on to the tail end of this thing here. John Hinchcliffe, Troy Breaker at the back tail end of this line. And I'm going to agree with the fans. Chris Bates doing a fantastic job. He's been consistently up front. Now again, your race leader. Oh, gets a push there from Moore, I believe. Gets a little bit unsorted, holds on to it. That's going to cause the inside line to check up. There goes Chris Walsh. Moore, though, look at the hardy shove in the back of that number 81 machine. Trying to get him around Chris Walsh in the 63. Now as this run develops, I'm interested to see, are we going to see Bates go up to the high side and maybe throw a bit of a block there on Walsh? Walsh just clicking off laps led here. Now Ogle, despite his terrible job normally at fuel saving, maybe being the second driver in that massive high side, that high line, that groove they're running, maybe he'll be able to save a little bit as he's been consistently pushing Walsh. But man, the big shove that Bates is getting, that inside line's doing a fantastic job. But very interesting to see those third drivers in line not pushing too terribly hard. I believe that's Rick Nitz and Sean Fulch running 5th and 6th. They're kind of lagging back from the top 2 drivers, not wanting to get too close here in case things get a little bit too dicey at the front row. But we are 2 wide and 15 rows deep here at Daytona. And very, very impressed with the quality of drivers we have each and every Sunday night here at UVRL. These guys run 4 different series just about any night. You can find somebody online racing, or if not, in one of the official practices. Oh, we're getting all sorts of out of shape here, though. 23 laps in, write that one down as we click the timer over to 24 laps. This is when things are starting to get a little bit exciting. Drivers starting to lose that line a little bit more. As now Chris Walsh in the 63 machine, a big charge up on the high side. Waiting to see if Bates can get credit for a lap led in that number 81. So it looks like it's through 3 and 4 where drivers kind of losing those reference marks, tagging the apron, and then things get a little bit out of hand. I'm going to see if I can grab an onboard here. Oh, as I see a little bit more looseness. Drivers down the back kind of dropping on the apron rather quickly. As we're on board with Tom Ogle. A great view of, you can't see too much in front of you. Just the rear bumper. In this case, it's the Jim Beanback 63 of Chris Walsh. Walsh, a bit of a bobble. Here comes the shove. And we've got problems towards the bat. Michael Lemonchek with an off-track excursion. He is going to lose the draft from the front of the field. Very briefly had an off-track moment, but thankfully held on to it. We will not see a caution. We'll keep things green as the inside line has all but fallen apart. Walsh still leading up on the high side. Ogle still the pusher. So Bates on an inside line looks like he has lost all support. And we've got more issues out on track. Mark Fish with an off-track excursion. Kermit Gentry was off track as well. Let's see what happened there with Fish. Oh, somebody gets a hearty shove. That was Fish, Gentry, and Wanamaker all involved in that one. Well done on the spin from Mark Fish, and that 42 machine, though, keeps it pointing in the right direction. Narrowly avoiding the caution that will come out. So, this is going to be even more exciting because now you've got a freight train of drivers, for the most part, still too wide, about 10 rows deep. Those guys did not come down pit road. Alan Wanamaker did technically come down pit road, but that could be from getting pushed in there. Roy Baker down pit road, the number 18 machine rather briefly. Interesting, I think some drivers are triggering the entry cones with their off-track excursions. Alan Wanamaker takes a tow back to pit road, having some sort of issues here. Yeah, I gotta agree with Lee Warsdale. This league counts on the built-in iRacing system to call the cautions. Apparently the built-in iRacing officials were sleeping in the spotter stand on that one. That's the joys of using the built-in stuff. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not. Looks like clean track ahead for Chris Walsh. Oh, I take it back. There's lap traffic, and it's gonna be exciting. Oh, you got lap traffic blinking here. A very precarious spot to be in. Lap driver staying way up on the high groove. Walsh takes his opportunity to try and get a bit of a breakaway with Tom Ogle and Sean Foltz tucked in behind. That is an extremely busy racetrack, ladies and gentlemen. But everybody can take a big exhale as the field gets through. Walsh, Ogle, Foltz did not get the breakaway they were looking for here. Warsdale letting us know in the spectator area they should be coming down pit road rather soon. I would assume that he has a good idea of what the fuel mileage runs are going to be for these next-gen Cup cars. Jonathan Green, the number 98 Ford Mustang, he's up what looks to be 7th position as here we go, green flag stops. Copeland, McDaniel, MacArthur, Walker, Jones, Lindsay, and Garisco all down pit road together, 30 laps into this main event. The fuel window officially open as we had lap traffic dragging the wall here, trying to very quickly get out of the way. It's an intimidating thing seeing all these drivers behind you. We're going to pull up the live time and try the left side of your screen to see how things shape up as we are officially under green flag stop conditions. Oh, that's a lot of drivers staying out, about 34 to be exact. Looks like McDaniel, MacArthur, Barisco, Lindsay, and Walker all took 4 fresh tires, a full tank of fuel on that stop. And now we will find out just how long these drivers can go on a full tank as Walsh continues to lead the charge up front. As drivers coming out of pit road trying to get some momentum. And we're going to go 3 wide once more. Everybody trying to avoid putting themselves too much in the vortex of danger as we see somebody snap loose. That wasn't Chris Bates. I think that was Rick Nitz. Yes, it was in the 35 Mustang. A bit of a moment there, able to hold on to it, collect himself without collecting himself. So let's see, when is Walsh going to come down pit road? He's been out front for the majority of this run, pushing the air. No draft support for that 63 machine. Looks like he's going to stay out one more time at least. As it is Walsh, Ogle, Foltz, Bates, and McRubbin, your current top 5. Dale Copeland in the number 55 Chevrolet clicks out the fastest lap of the race, a 46.39. Drivers hitting speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour here today. As Walsh gets another push from Foltz, Ogle has dropped down the inside line. I'm expecting that number 11 White Claw backed forward to come down pit road next time by. Yes, there's Ogle. There's a lot of drivers. Barisco hard on the brakes. Oh, it's a very busy pit road. There's surely going to be some penalties on this one. John Hinchcliffe is off track, the left side of your screen. On this pit cycle, it's Ogle, Green, Hufford, Robinson. Oh, it's a ton. We're going to wait for these drivers to get sorted before we officially make that call. And that leaves 7 drivers out. So that was Shosey, Lynch, Strandberg, Robinson, Hufford, Ogle, Copeland, Moore, Bates, Winninger. The list goes on and on of drivers who come down pit road together. As Chris Walsh continues to stay out. No, he's going to come down pit road. Accompanied by Brian McRubbin, Eric Essery, and Sean Foltz and William Martin going to try something different on strategy. They stay out even longer. The only 2 drivers who have yet to pit. And an extremely busy pit road here. Surely we're going to see Foltz and Martin come down pit road this time. They are going to be really lacking draft support with just 2 drivers coming out together. Also, I stand corrected. Dean Gear, the number 92 machine, he is yet to come down pit road as well. Drivers coming out of pit road, trying to get up to pace. Sean Foltz, William Martin, Dean Gear, 1, 2, 3, the only drivers who have not come down pit road. With this cycle, we only have 18 drivers on the lead lap. Those top 3 definitely willing to gamble a little bit. Chris Walsh has had an extended stay in pit road, as well as Alan Wanamaker. Jeff Light and Chris Sidnor back down pit road for the first time, Don Hastings and Joe Brown, the only drivers who have been forced back to the virtual hauler. They have retired. Dean Gear down pit road for his first stop of the night. William Martin still leading in the number 94 machine. long is Martin and Foltz going to stay out here for? Martin with his pit strategy. At the moment, he's up 31 positions. So the 94, a big gamble here. Maybe hoping for a caution. Here comes Martin. Here comes Foltz down pit road. Hard on the brakes goes Martin. Foltz follows suit. That should, I believe, put Greg McDaniel, Mr. Kimball himself, as the race leader. He came down pit road in that early cycle on lap 30. There's a lot of heavy hitters in the front now. That's Lloyd Moore, Greg McDaniel, Dwayne MacArthur, Tom Ogle, Michael Watts, Chris Bates, all in what's going to be the lead pack here. As we watch McDaniel and Moore side by side. Coming out of NASCAR 4. Oh, and William Martin had problems on pit road. We think he got a speeding penalty. As Sean Foltz rolls out of his box in 15.3 seconds, William Martin still on pit road, and he's going to drop way down the standings. But with this pit cycle complete, it's going to be Moore and McDaniel. Side by side up front, Ogle looks like he's going back to the high line, lending his support to Moore. McDaniel qualified third, currently sitting third. With Last Ditch Racing, he's sporting the number 1 plate. This is his second full OBRL Cup Series. He's a professional equipment operator for his local county. And when he's not on iRacing, you can frequently find Mr. McDaniel bowling, bass fishing, or watching Supercross and motocross, depending on the time of year. So good to see McDaniel out there running very well. Second out on track. According to beamoose.org race machine. MacArthur takes a peek up to the inside line, nowhere to go. So 38 laps is about the most these drivers can get out of fuel. The fuel window will open back up around lap 60, close on lap 68 for most drivers. Some drivers may be able to stretch it all the way to lap 76, but I don't think they would be. Scheduled for one more green flag stop. We've gotten very, very close to some cautions early on here this evening. Thankfully, everybody's been able to keep it relatively in check, as the top 4 have quite a, no, excuse me, the top 6 have quite a breakaway. There's one more than 26. With lap driver Larry Corey, the number 17 machine, right behind. That's going to put 32 drivers on the lead lap. But Moore currently has about a 1.8 second gap over Brian McRubbin. Back in 7th, McRubbin still, no, actually it's going to be Clay Walker's our hard charger. Walker in that number 2 machine, up 23 positions so far. Ogle leading the pack here. Looks like everybody dropping single file in that top 6 to very quickly navigate the traffic. And surely they know they're still gaining ground on 7th place, Brian McRubbin. I would imagine these guys are kind of happy to sit in formation here, click off some laps, keep their nose clean, keep building up a gap over the rest of the field. As if we go back to Brian McRubbin, that is a freight train, ladies and gentlemen. That's Brian McRubbin in 7th. You've got Dale Copeland, Eric Essery, Josh Robinson, Lindsey, Walker, Hufford, Garisco, Winninger, Strandberg, Hill, Buscemi, and Green all in this pack from 6th to 19th place, side by side. If they can work together, they should be able to work their way up towards the front. Just keep their heads down and keep charging. And we do have a caution. Showing Daryl Winninger involved in that one. Clay Walker, Daryl Winninger. Winninger takes a tow back to pit road. We get the replay queued up here. And rolling the safety car. Let's see where things went wrong. Oh, let's back that camera angle up because that looked like a violent one. We're 3 wide with traffic. See if we can get a little bit wider shot here. Looks like the number 24, one of the first drivers involved in that one. Well, that's a mighty big grid to find everybody. So that's Brian Lindsay. So watch Lindsay, the number 24, the 65 up on the high side. 65 is Kermit Gentry. Oh, that's a tough one to call. I can't tell if the 24 went up or if Gentry came down, but regardless, just nowhere for those drivers to go. Gentry gets hit on the outside wall, tries to hold it together. You see the number 2 get a hearty shove, and then things go from bad to worse. Daryl Winninger goes for a wild ride as the field takes evasive maneuvers. And is it going to be a big impact? Yes, it is. As drivers scatter all across the field to avoid the carnage. And the caution comes out for the first time here at Daytona, the season opener. The first caution of the evening. The season, I should say. So to the 44% of the viewers that say no cautions, green all the way, unfortunately, you have lost the imaginary internet points here this evening. As 5 drivers opt to stay out. Mayo thinking Kermit got a little bit squirrely on the outside as the field came barreling through. Those drivers that were working so hard on strategy, having that work undone as we're going to reset things here. Looks like the top 8 drivers came in anywhere between lap 30 to 36. While Lloyd Moore sitting in 9th, he's going to lead the field who came in under caution here. And that is most of the field that came down. Winninger returned back out on track. Gentry in pit road for an extended stay. Chris Sidner also an extended stay, as well as Chris Walsh. Joe Brown, John Hastings, the 2 drivers back in the virtual hauler. The first caution of the regular season, ladies and gentlemen. Not quite to the halfway mark. As we get them gridded back up behind the iRacing safety car. Throwing a wrench in the driver's strategy here. That is going to leave us 31 out of the 46 entries still on the lead lap. Looks like Kevin Strandberg may have also put it back in the hauler. He may be done for the night. And away they go, green flag racing once more. It's McDaniel and MacArthur on the front row. Both drivers up one spot from where they qualified. But an absolute hornet's nest behind them. Now, we've said it before, cautions breed cautions. And now, after those top 5 or 6 drivers had a massive breakaway up to 2 seconds, everybody's put right back together here. Now, we know MacArthur and McDaniel at the latest will have to come down pit road around lap 68. So I'm wondering if they're banking on being up front, maybe banking on a caution and avoiding, hopefully, the carnage that would ensue behind them and not with each other. As MacArthur out front, the number 83 machine looking for his first lap lead here this season. But Wayne Hufford and Greg McDaniel may have other plans. Hufford, that 75 machine. And MacArthur will get credit for his first lap lead of the season, the Manitoba, Canada native. A large list of championships to his name, just locked up the winner of the Euro Cup Series. And of course, he is the team captain of Last Ditch Racing, that fast Canadian. He's got Greg McDaniel right in tow, giving a big hearty shove. Looks like Chris Bates, the number 81 machine, also going to follow suit along that inside line. Maybe run a little bit defensive here. But as a reminder, both MacArthur and McDaniel, their last pit stops were lap 30. So they will not be able to go quite as far. Michael Watson, number 84 machine, he came down pit road under caution on lap 45. He holds on to the 8th place spot. He's got to be pretty happy where he's sitting. But if drivers can come down pit road anywhere between laps 65 and 70, they in theory should be good to go till the end here. As things are still getting a little bit tight, I believe I spot, yes, that's Greg Hammond up on the outside line, the number 88, up 36 positions here now. And squarely in the Hornet's Nest on the high line, trying to track down MacArthur, who leaves the inside line. Looks like, I believe that's Victor Lane right behind him. Yeah, Lane, the number 10 machine. No, excuse me, that's the 75 machine of Hufford on the high side. Hammond down low in the 88. Looks like he's got Watson, the Lowe's Pro back to 84 machine behind him. like he wants to give too much of a push here to the 75 of Hufford. Maybe opting to play it safe, but Dean Gear, the 92 machine, right behind them. Looks like he's getting ready to give a little bit of a bump and say, all right, let's get things going here. We can't let MacArthur get too far ahead. It doesn't look like they're either gaining or losing time here with Hufford and Lane working together. Dean Gear also on that high side. Lane's last pit stop at number 10 was on lap 34. As Hammond clicks off a personal best in the 88. Gotta give Hammond credit here. 35 positions gained. Absolutely massive as we've got somebody dragging the wall. We've got that 26. As everybody's scattering around there. Looks like Moore was able to hold on to it. He's got company from Buscemi and the 95 of Fultz as we go 3 wide here at Daytona. Thankfully, everybody able to avoid any more travesty there. Everybody playing as safe as they can. They've got past the halfway mark. Have already seen the crossed green and white flags. But at this point, they are focusing on the back stretch of this race. 45 laps left to go here at Daytona. It's MacArthur, McDaniel, Bates, Lindsay, and Hammond, your current top 5. We'll have 31 drivers out on track on the lead lap. 4 drivers unfortunately had to retire early. That was Strandberg, Sidner, Brown, and Hastings. Done and out. They're going to get ready for the second week of the season. As it looks like the top 4 or 5 seem to be content running single file here. As that was MacArthur's fastest lap of the race, a 46.96. Not too shabby when you're the one out front. And he's got Greg McDaniel right behind the number 1 machine, as well as Chris Bates in the 81. It looks like I spot a Brian Lindsay. Odd seeing Lindsay in a different paint scheme this season, but a very sharp number 24 machine. As Dustin Martinson reminds us, next week we go to Auto Club, which is sure to be an exciting one. Everybody cutting through traffic. So far, so good, but a little bit of blinking there as they come through the tri-oval makes for a tough time. And somebody we haven't talked to too much about here, Josh Robinson, the 23 machine. Qualified 7th, currently running 7th. But Michael Watts starting 6th, 6th place back. Those are the drivers who came down pit road on that lap 45 caution. So they should be able to propel themselves up the standings a little bit here. As the top 5 will have to come down pit road about 10 laps earlier than them. That could be a big difference here. Up for the 46 machine. He's having a great night. He's up 23 positions, running just at the edge of the top 10, but he has a massive run. And the number 8 machine of John Hinchcliffe, who is a lap down, shuts the door on the 46, says, no, sir. Sorry, this way is closed. Looks like Huff has a big run, just nowhere to go with it with the traffic around and in front of him. Has to be frustrating for the Supercuts back, or Superflow, excuse me, back 46 machine. I think I saw Hufford still trying to get some momentum on the high side with Lane right behind, just not having any luck. But again, those could be drivers playing it safe, seeing what's going to develop here. They know they're good on fuel, and Hufford may be blocking the win for Lane. It came down to 11 laps before Hufford. Oh no, as I say that, Hufford in the outside wall. Lane really backs out of it there. Oh no, Lane has fallen way back to 27th. Trying to see if he's got any damage on that number 10 machine. He may have had a little bit of a contact there with the wall as well. Because I would imagine Lane, if he thinks he has any damage, he surely has damage. He is way off the pace here. Lane's going to stay out, but I think that number 10 machine driving wounded. Not seeing any obvious damage on the side, but may have just lost the run and lost the draft. He's got the 37 of Eric Essery, but we've got a caution out once more. Oh, and the big one's going to be out here at Daytona. Oh, and this is going to be a good one. I see Rick Nitz, Dale Copeland, Joey Buscemi, Cameron Shosey, Robert Vincent, Eddie Jones, all involved in this one. Mark Fish, Victor Lane. Oh, my goodness. Let's try and get this replay queued up here. All right, we're going to have to back this one up because I think this is going to take a whole lot of analyzation. Who was that we just spotted? So let's start with the number 8. I think Hinchcliffe. Was that the number 8? Oh, I just spotted it. There we go. It looked like that was Buscemi. Gets hooked. Yeah, so watch this. Buscemi is going to get hooked by the 94 machine. 94 comes down. Buscemi grabs the quarter panel, gets absolutely obliterated in the outside wall. And the field just nowhere to go, comes piling in here. More hits than a Cher concert. Lloyd Moore takes evasive maneuvers, goes to the outside line, no luck of it. He gets plowed into the wall, plowed from behind. And the field just comes barreling in, nowhere to go. My goodness. I'm trying to get one more replay queued up here that I want to see. We're going to get another replay queued up for our fans at home. You are on board with Rick Nitz in the 35. Trying to find his way through. No such luck. And wisely just comes to a stop to rethink his life choices. So that one, expect that one to be on social media later this week as the low light of the race, and that's going to be our second caution. Let me give you a list of drivers down pit road with an extended stay. You've got Victor Lane. He's been in his stall for 18 seconds. And rolls back out. Tom Ogle, Rick Nitz, John Hinchcliffe, Eddie Jones, extended stays in pit road. William Martin, an extended stay. Clay Walker, Dean Gear, back in the virtual hauler. They're done and out. Darrell Winninger, he's out of it. Eddie Jones leaves pit road after a minute and 11 seconds. As the fans point out, in theory, drivers should be good to go on fuel up until the end of this thing. We had drivers, or excuse me, fans who are also drivers asking about Wayne Huffer, the 75 machine. Looks like he got through it here. And for the fans discussing, the longest fuel run we've seen is 38 laps on that opening stint. You're right, in theory, drivers should be able to make it till the end here, but it is going to be close, especially for those that are out front pushing the air by themselves. And the problem always is, cautions breed cautions. Agreed with Justin Martinson. If somebody's out front all on their lonesome, going to be tough. Now, Michael Watts under caution, and Avis pits on 7.6 seconds. It looks like a fuel-only stop, and the track position may pay out well for the 84 machine. He'll be accompanied by Chris Bates on the front row, and the number 81. That is going to get us down to 26 drivers in the lead lap as we go green flag racing once more. You can see Barney, our flagman, getting these drivers going. MacArthur didn't really gain or lose too much track position here, as he also came down pit road under caution. Watson and MacArthur linked up the inside line. They've got some momentum. But Chris Bates on the high line. That number 81 machine trying to get things going here. Looks like he's going to take over the race lead. But for how long as Watson and MacArthur linked up the inside line? You're on board with the number 81 machine. Keep an eye on the left side of the screen. You can just barely see Michael Watson's 84. Oh, Bates going to drop down the inside line. That's going to be McDaniel up on the high side in the number 1 machine. McDaniel qualified second here. Excuse me, third. So is up one spot from where he started. And now he's got the number 24 machine of Brian Lindsay, that Toyota Camry, trying to give his support. McDaniel on the high side takes over the race lead from the 81 of Chris Bates. McDaniel and Bates both dropping down the inside line. Looks like, I believe that's going to be Josh Robinson in the number 23 machine. He'll be leading the high groove here at Daytona. And Watts switches back to the high side, leaving MacArthur down low. Interesting to see how this one's going to pan out as drivers are making new alliances. With about 33 laps left to go in this season opener main event. McDaniel holding on to the race lead. He would like nothing more than to win the season opener of the series that he is the title sponsor of. But that is a lot of talent inside the top 10 that's got something they want to say about it. Right now, the top 22 drivers separated by about 1.2 seconds. Robert Vincent is going to return back out on track. The rookie driver in the 101 machine. McDaniel holding on to the race lead, getting some more laps led under his belt in that number 1 machine. Brian Lindsay serving as the pusher on the inside line. Watts leading the high line in the 84 machine. Looks like Chris Bates in the 81 machine hanging back slightly. He may be focusing on fuel here. Now, if we get another caution, I don't suspect anybody's going to come down pit road and top off. I think the caution laps may give these guys a bit of reprieve and a bit of fuel saving as MacArthur charging at the inside line. In the 83 machine, he sits 5th on the leaderboard. Interesting to see is Watts going to get the momentum he's looking for with Robinson serving as the pusher there up on the high side. Robinson's second car in line in the baby blue. Watts in the dark blue yellow number 84 machine. Oh, Martinson, a good point. There will be fuel concerns if we get a green-white checker here. If we get a caution before the white flag is out, when I believe it's 2 or 3 laps left to go, we will go into overtime conditions. And then you're going to see a lot of drivers very, very worried about fuel. As it stands, most drivers should be able to go to the end. If not barely on fuel. We saw some 38-lap fuel runs in the opening fuel stint. But that does not leave much extra in the tank, literally and figuratively, for these drivers. Doesn't look like Watts gaining too much ground here on the outside line. Watts extremely fast and extremely smart, a biomedical engineer who loves racing. A little bit of road racing, a real life road racing background. This year, they were the VCO Daytona 24 overall winners with Hutch Sport Racing. They were racing the BMW LMPH. So keep an eye out later in the season. Wherever we go to a road course, Watts, a very strong favorite to pick up wins across anything with a right turn. As look at that, MacArthur goes up to the high line. Side by side with Bates in the 81. He's maybe thinking the outside line has a shot here. Oh, look at that. Greg McDaniel, Brian Lindsay also up to the high side. Putting a bit of a block on the fast Canadian, but driver's getting a little bit out of shape here. MacArthur moving up to third, just barely a car length ahead of Bates in the 81. And we're not even 10 laps left to go. Normally when you're 10 laps left to go, it's when everything just kind of breaks loose here and things get a little bit out of hand. At the top 5, currently McDaniel, Lindsay, MacArthur, Watts, and Bates. And look at the top 3. McDaniel, Lindsay, MacArthur very quickly build up a 0.3 second gap over Bates. But now Bates has that draft support. There's Brian Lynch in the Hooters back number 9 machine. He's going to go to the outside line, see if he can work the side draft against this lead pack. Oh, and drivers, they can't quite pick a line to commit to. That's Jonathan Green. He's going to take a shot at leading the outside charge. The number 98 Ford Mustang. Green and Hufford side by side, the battle for 6th. And you can see that the gap that McDaniel, Lindsay, and MacArthur built up very quickly taken away. Not able to shake the rest of the field when they're working so hard together with that draft. They would like nothing more than just a top 3 car shootout here at the end. Makes it a little bit less hectic, but that will not be in the cards, I don't think, as we go 26 laps left to go here at Daytona. Starting our 75th lap. You got the live timing and leaderboard, the left side of your screen. The sponsors who would not be possible to have this series in the top right. Green in the 98 machine, get that momentum built up. There's a little bit of lap traffic just ahead of your race leaders. Greg McDaniel, he's in a good spot. He's on the inside line, going to be able to avoid it. Let's focus in on Jonathan Green as things are getting a little bit dicey behind. And my goodness, lap traffic rapidly being overtaken. There's Brian McRubbin in the 09 machine, moving up inside the top 5. Can't quite tell. It looks like maybe a little bit of splitter damage on the front of Green in the 98. Looks like that the hood slightly bowed there. Can't quite tell on the 98. But the closing speeds with traffic, absolutely terrifying. Impact well over 200 miles an hour at this point. They'll have 26 drivers in the lead lap. Unfortunately, Tom Ogle will be a lap down. He's in the lucky dog spot. And the number 11 is he sits 27th. McDaniel, Lindsey, MacArthur, single file up front. You can see Chris Bates trying to get a piece of the action. Sean Foltz, Robert Vincent down pit road with 23 to go. Will we be able to make it till the end here on fuel? Greg McDaniel's got to be looking at that fuel calculator, wondering if he can make it till the end here. Saying, think we might have missed a wreck. Let's see. I see Sean Foltz, Robert Vincent came down pit road. We'll double check here. Looks like both those drivers just kind of took pit road naturally. We'll double check. Did not see anything on the crash report, so I wonder if maybe Foltz and Vincent had some sort of contact. As yes, I see that Eddie Jones, he's fallen back by about 3 seconds from Michael Watts. But unfortunately, nothing getting triggered on the broadcast software of any incidents or off tracks. So it could have been just a big moment where the field checks up. I'm suspect to see if maybe Foltz was involved in something. The Kimball Cup Series, they do have a rule. If you're involved in any sort of incident, you've got to serve your own drive-through penalty. Foltz has been in his stall for 1 minute and 20 seconds now. Unfortunately, don't have any sort of replay able to get queued up on that one without the data to feed off of. So the top 10, a healthy breakaway, 3.6 seconds ahead of Eddie Jones, who sits 11th, leading the second pack. Here's a great shot showing the difference between the two packs. That's Jones in 11th, and all the way back to Larry Corey in 19th. Going to try and work together. They've only got 21 laps to do it to try and pull back up to the lead pack, which is going to be tough going. As I say that, looks like Lindsey was a little bit out of shape there, with MacArthur giving him a shove. If these top 10 drivers start battling too much, that's going to allow Eddie Jones and friends, the Raging Cajun, who's up 20 spots, a chance to pull back up a little bit closer. The field continuously cutting through lap traffic. It's going to give a bit of a reprieve to the top 3 drivers. Let's go a little bit further back. There's Josh Robinson. Once again, trying to get the high side formed up. A bit of a breakaway as now Jones really gaining some ground on the top 5. I'm going to be interested. I think Jones has the draft support to close the distance. If that second pack can just kind of hang together, maybe stay nose to tail. It's going to be 18 laps left to go as they cross the line. McDaniel still out front. Looks like Jones and friends are losing some ground. As now the number 75 of Wayne Hufford, he goes up to the high side in front of Robinson. It's been very interesting over the course of this run. Seems to be a little bit different strategy on what line may be the fastest here. In the past, we've seen it be a high line dominant super speedway, especially when you have a good draft train and working the side draft. Can Robinson push Wayne Hufford in the 75 up towards the front? Hufford just about side by side with MacArthur, who's down the inside line. And oh, we've got problems. That was Brian McRubbin just get absolutely punted off the track. No caution. Oh man, unfortunately for McRubbin, that was a spectacular run and just gets muscled out of the top positions. And Wayne Hufford not complaining too much. He's suddenly side by side with the race leader, Greg McDaniel, as we keep it green out on track here at Daytona. Still, even with that moment, the top 9 gaining ground on Eddie Jones. Wayne Hufford out front in the 75 machine. He's got Robinson giving him a push from behind. Now we were expecting things to get out of sorts on lap around 10 to go. A little early for the shenanigans for these guys. 16 laps left to go here at Daytona. Here comes Greg McDaniel. He's going to fire back the inside line with the draft support of Brian Lindsay. MacArthur also on the inside line. On the high side, you've got Hufford, you've got Robinson, you've got Michael Watts. As we go 2 wide and about 4 rows deep down the back stretch. McDaniel and Hufford side by side for the race lead. Oh, if this is any sign of what's to come, we are in for a wild finish here. The top 9 drivers separated by less than 0.6 of a second. Oh, there's a little bit of wall scraping going on. Was that Lynch in the number 9? No, it's a little bit further back, I think. I believe that was Jonathan Green, the 98. Rick Nitz, Mark Fish, both down pit road. Oh, that was a crash. Let's get that one pulled up because I believe Nitz may have hit the incident limit. Let's focus in on the number 35 Ford Mustang. Oh, I think he's going to get an off track and then just get punted here. Oh, definitely not an off track. Drills the wall, and I believe that was the incident limit getting hit. So unfortunately, Nitz, all that hard work gonna be undone as Mark Fish rolls back out on track. as we're still focused in on the race leader, Greg McDaniel, leading the charge. Wayne Hufford in the 75 machine still. We've seen him try to lead that outside line pretty much all night long. Now, my prediction is lap 10 or so was that everything's going to break loose. There's 9 drivers still in this front pack. They've got a 5-second advantage over Eric Essery, who's leading the second part. Not quite sure what happened to Eddie Jones. He's dropped back to 16th. Looks like lap traffic once again on the horizon for Greg McDaniel. Hufford going to be in the hot seat here in the 75 as he leads the high side. Where are they going to catch traffic? Looks like it may be through turn 4, if not the tri-oval. The high side a little bit spread out, and the inside line definitely has the car count to make up for it. Looks like relatively clean track. I thought they were going to be catching up to the field a little bit faster than they are. As McDaniel, Lindsay, MacArthur staying linked up nose to tail. There's Watson, Hufford, who just can't get apart. It looks like Robinson not super in a hurry here to give a push to Hufford. Wonder if they're hanging back to see how this is going to break down, as we're going to be 10 laps left to go once they cross the line. Is the high side maybe hanging back, waiting on some race strategy? We're 10 laps left to go here. And on camera, these are the most likely group of 9 drivers to bring home a win. I say most likely because we've seen late race cautions really throw wrenches in plans here before, especially when it comes to plate racing. I also want to give a quick shout. I think this is the most viewership we've ever had for one of the the Kimball Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League. So thank you to the fans who came out and on the edge of their seats as we get ready. Things are starting to get a little bit exciting. Wayne Hufford on the high side challenging Greg McDaniel for the lead. There's traffic 3 wide ahead of the lead pack. This is going to be an exciting one. How is traffic going to play a role? Will we see those drivers condense, get into a single groove? Because Greg McDaniel is going to fire back up the inside line. It's Hufford on the high side. He's getting support from Josh Robinson. Greg McDaniel, Brian Lynch on the inside line. No, that's going to be Brian Lindsay on the inside line as Lynch goes high. It's Hufford, Robinson, Lynch working together. The outside line has grown legs. Lap traffic just ahead of your race leaders. We see drivers very wisely hopping on the apron saying, hey, there's something going on and we don't want to get involved in this one. Other drivers, lap drivers, going high. The top 9 drivers condense single file on the inside line. Everybody else going high to get out of the leaders' way. It looked like there was contact right behind the race leaders. Thankfully, everybody able to get through that one nice and clean, but a very tough predicament as Wayne Hufford is going to get, is he going to get a lap lead? No, it's going to be Robinson. A massive run by Robinson, the number 23 machine, leading the field. Robinson up high. Greg McDaniels went high as well. Wayne Hufford stays down low as Brian Lindsay up high in the number 24 machine. Everybody working together, trying to find somebody to push or be pushed. Here comes McDaniel back down the inside line, leaves Robinson out to dry. Robinson's going to hope Watts gives some sort of support here. And Watts answers the call, but they have lost a whole lot of time as we are slicing and dicing. Those 9 drivers have a shot of it. McDaniel leads as we cross the line. Lindsay second, MacArthur third. Wayne Hufford, Brian Lynch currently barely inside the top 5. It's anybody's guess. We're 6 laps left to go here at Daytona. Robinson, that shows how quickly in just a lap and a half. Robinson from first back to 8th in that number 23 machine. McDaniel's driving defensive on the inside line. Brian Lindsay, Dwayne MacArthur second and third in line in this tight pack. Drivers are going to take a few feints at each other, see what they can work out. Five laps left to go here. Daytona. McDaniel's going to drive defensive as long as he can. We saw one lone lapped car ahead of this big pack. 9 drivers still in this pack, separated by less than a half a second. They have pulled a 6.3 second gap on 10th place Eric Essery, who has a massive pack behind him as well. I think these top 9 want to keep this thing green sorted out amongst themselves. A little bit of traffic ahead. McDaniel drops back down low to defend, as well as squirt through traffic with as few issues as he possibly can here. Ooh, lap traffic up against the wall. Brian Lynch goes 3 wide briefly with Robinson down low, but the field able to get through here nice and easy. Look at the big run from Lynch in that number 9 machine. The number 98 machine of Jonathan Green falls back to 9th. We've got Mason Heimbaugh, another Team Goon Squad producer, joining the spectator area, watching the show unfold. 3 laps left to go in the season opener. It's McDaniel, Lindsay, MacArthur, Hufford, and Bates, your top 5. 9 drivers still have a shot to bring home the season opener win. As right now, looks like everybody's single file, trying to play a bit of a game of 200-mile-an-hour cat and mouse. Who's going to be the first to commit and hop out of line? Watts takes a peek on the outside line. Looks like the number 98 machine of Green tries to join them. No luck. They fall back. Robinson moves up to the 6th place spot. Brian Lynch tucked in behind in 7th. Jeremy Barber in the chat as well. He's enjoying the show. McDaniel holding on to the race lead. Brian Lynch tucked in right behind. MacArthur sits in 3rd. There's Wayne Hufford, the 75 machine, takes a peek at the outside line. We're 2 laps left to go. Robinson's going to give a push to Hufford to see what they can get going. Lynch also on the high side. The inside line running very, very defensive here. McDaniel desperately wants this win. He's up 2 spots gained so far. Brian Lindsay in 2nd, up 21 positions. 9 drivers with a massive breakaway. They are running out of time to make any big moves. Look at the bumpers linked up with McDaniel and Lindsay heading into turn 3. MacArthur looks for an opening, not able to find it. 4th place, Chris Bates also trying to find a way through. The 81 machine, the high side getting formed up once more. That's going to be Chris Bates, and the number 81 machine throws a nasty block on Wayne Hufford. The white flag is out here at Daytona. If there's time to make moves, this is it. Hufford leads the outside line, gonna try and work the side draft with the top 3 drivers. They've got about 2/10 built up. It's McDaniel, Lindsay, MacArthur. If Hufford cannot get something formed up down this back stretch, it is done, it is over. There will be no green-white checker attempts. Look at the big breakaway from the top 3, the outside line trying to get formed up. Is there enough time? I don't think there is, as Hufford actually falls back to 5th. Bates takes over the 4th place spot. The inside line seems to be dominant. They make their way through NASCAR 3 and 4 for the final time. Will we see anybody hop out of line? Can Greg McDaniel be able to bring home the win? He guards the inside line. Coming across the start finish, it's going to be Brian Lindsay, Greg McDaniel, Dwayne MacArthur, your top 3. Lindsay took his time in the number 24 machine and made the move right there at the end, able to sneak home a win in that 24 machine, up 22 positions. He is our hard, actually no, it's going to be Larry Corey, our hard charger, as well as Mark Fish. Both those drivers up 23 positions. But got to hand to Lindsay. Qualified 23rd, brings it home in the top spot. In a race where we saw so many fast cars go home early. But it is Brian Lindsay who's going to take the credit for the race win. We're going to try and get our top 3 drivers up here into victory lane. They're still working on the photo procedure. You got to give them credit. They're trying their best here, ladies and gentlemen. The fans giving a whole lot of applause to number 24 of Brian Lindsay. Smoke him if you got him. He is pumped to be here. And an extremely well-deserved win, the number 24. Never mind that he's hide-and-centered himself there. But a great race all the way through. We're going to try and get Lindsay, McDaniel, and MacArthur up in here to the waiting room for their podium interviews. But definitely a fun way to kick off this season here at the Old Bastards Racing Kimball Cup Series. Looks like we've got MacArthur, we've got McDaniel, and let's go ahead and get the podium interview started here. We're going to get things going with the fast Canadian himself, Dwayne MacArthur, the 83 machine. Dwayne, it's plate racing. We've seen you had great luck. We've seen you had terrible luck, but a 3rd place, a season opener, 46 cars. I think this is going to fall under the good luck category.
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't be happier than bringing home 3 last-ditch racing cars, 1, 2, 3 there. Got pretty lucky to get lined up, and it kind of worked out.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good breakaway there at the end. Able to build up a little bit of a safety barrier. I think it was around a quarter of a second you guys had built up from 4th place back, and I'm sure you guys would much prefer to having a 3-car shootout there at the end instead of 9 drivers all gunning for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, Josh and Wayne and who was up there, Watts and Jonathan, they were getting runs on that top lane, and we were just trying to manage them and save enough energy for when they came and fight them off. It was a lot of coordination, but once we knew we were good, we kind of figured that well, we knew Brian was going to hang out Greg and take that win, and I had warned Greg that I was gonna go with Brian and push him there too because Greg has more wins. So team hierarchy, it's all good.
Well, seniority always plays a role, but Dwayne, good to have you back up here. A great way to start this season. Who you want to give a shout out to that made this 3rd place possible for you?
Yeah, just want to say quick shout out to our sponsor, Kimball, Greg McDaniel. We have other sponsors as well on board with us this year: Victory Lane Sports, Butt Kicker, AOLogs, Admin Box. I want to say thanks to them. Want to say thanks to all the admins that help put this show on every week and all the bastards that come out every week and race with us. Thanks to you as well. Putting on a good show and pretty excited. We're running for our first ever inaugural Hornet Hoskins Award here for the Cup Series. The greatest bastard of all, Dode, who's not racing with us this year, but I'm pretty sure he's watching. We're racing for a trophy in his honor. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome, dude. A great guy all the way around. Dwayne, congratulations on third, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you more this season, my friend.
Yeah, buddy. I hope so. I hope I get to talk to you every week.
Yes, sir. Well,
Good job, man.
thank you, sir. That was Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in third. Up next, we've got Mr. Kimball himself, Greg McDaniel. A good second, a little bit of team shenanigans there at the end, but still a great run for you in that number one machine.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for Brian. He helped me for a long, long time there, and somebody blurted somebody blurted out that Bates was coming, so I was looking forward. I wasn't looking back, but I'm guessing they went up there to kill a run or something. So that's all right. Second's still pretty good after running the actual iRacing 500 and getting just pummeled the whole time. This was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, we talked about that early in the broadcast, saying, we had a couple cautions here tonight, but I would say infinitely cleaner than you would ever see on an official lobby. And how does that feel? The season opener, 46 drivers, the most I've ever seen for one of the Cup Series events, and two cautions in a relatively clean race. You've got to be happy as both a driver and a sponsor seeing that one.
Oh yeah, and an admin too. We just have so many. This league is really, really nice. We get together and there's a couple practice nights, but even the hour of practice before the races, everybody's talking and joking, and we just all enjoy doing this together, and we respect each other and race clean. It makes it a really, really pleasurable experience. So I'm happy as heck with second place, and even though I lost it there at the end, the experience was great, and I like all these guys I race with, and can't ask for anything more.
Well said. A large dysfunctional family here at the OBRL. And Greg, before I let you go, sign off and celebrate with the rest of the hooligans. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this second place possible for you?
Well, I want to thank my teammates because we finished 1, 2, 3 there and worked together to keep everybody behind us. So the my teammates, which were all admins here in the league, and all the great racers that race here, and I think that's about it this time around.
Awesome. Greg, always a pleasure, my friend. Good to have you up here, and hopefully you can keep that momentum up throughout the rest of the season.
Hope to speak to you often.
Yes, sir. Me as well, friend. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Good night.
That was Greg McDaniel bringing it home and up in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Lindsay, the number 24. Welcome to the top spot of the podium. A awesome last-ditch, no pun intended, effort there to sneak the win away. And gotta be pumped. Up 22 spots, starting the season right. What more can you ask for in a plate race to start things off?
Oh, you can't ask for much better than that. I just want to thank my teammates for all the help and guidance and everything.
Well, Brian, it's been a long time coming. Correct me if I'm wrong. I did not see a win from you in the 22 season. Am I wrong there? Did you sneak one home in the winter season?
No, this is my actual first cup win, period.
Wow, what a way! 46 drivers. What did you? Yeah, forgive me since there's a lot of drivers. Did you qualify in that 23rd spot? Did you have a bobble during qualifying?
I had a little bobble in qualifying. I was trying to get a good qualifying spot so I could get a good pit stall, but it didn't work out. But, everything works out for a reason. God always has a plan.
Yeah, well said. And with that kind of initial strategy being thrown out the window, was it more nerve-wracking being kind of in the meat grinder? Did you try and get to the front as quickly as you can, or did you opt to hang back a little bit and let some of the shenanigans work themselves out?
I opted to hang back a little bit and wait for the pits to kind of shake things up because I knew that was going to shake some stuff up.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well for you. Then everybody's a little bit close on fuel there at the end, but were you and the team worried at all about fuel or a possible green-white checker attempt if we did see that happen?
We were just going to go for it and hope for the best kind of deal.
Well, it definitely worked out well in your favor, and it's good to have you up here the first time for a Cup win, a very, very big one here at Daytona. And Brian, this may be a new one for you, but you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this win possible for you?
I want to give a shout out to my mom and I want to thank God and thank my teammates for everything.
Well, Brian, welcome to the top spot. I hope it's a lot of momentum for you to build off of, and hope to have you back up here in the podium room more often this season, my friend.
I hope so too. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you, sir. That was Brian Lindsay finishing in the top spot the first time in his Cup Series career, and he was accompanied by Greg McDaniel and Dwayne MacArthur. Rounding out the podium, 3 last-ditch racing cars in the top spot. It was a great race, a great season opener. I'd like to once again thank our title sponsor, Kimball, for coming on board for the Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League, as well as the fans at home. We couldn't have had such a wild and successful show without you guys from across the world. For the final send-offs of the evening, my name's been James East, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.